All right.
Yay!
Man,
Hi.
do I have, I'm excited. Didn't even sleep last night, as I told Naomi earlier. Big, huge fan. Her art surrounds me and has made such an impact in my life, and I just couldn't wait to get her. We've been working on this for about a year, trying, trying to us to
Yeah.
get to figure out a time with, when, pardon my French, or not French, but dumb fuckery's going on. We don't know what's, we finally got it figured out. Anyway,
Crazy, isn't it?
she's a pagan artist living in the West Country of England, the land of her ancestors, and a place of outstanding natural beauty with deep magical roots. Her art is an extension of her animist pagan beliefs and reflects her connection to nature and the ancestors. She creates art to depict for others the magic, with a K, she sees and feels every day all around her. She also creates in the hope that others view and connect with her art. They will also be able to find a deeper connection with and value the natural and magical world we're privileged to live in. She believes, as custodians of this planet, we must begin the process of healing in any way we can, and then maybe we can save what is left. Here, here. Welcome. Yay.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was very exciting finally to get it together. I know it's just been crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I
But
mean, we've been chatting and emailing, and you've been shipping art to me. I've shipped stuff to you. I mean, we've been at this for quite some time. Um, and I just want to let's just jump in. When did jump in?
mm,
When did you know that your art was your work with a capital W?
well, it depends on how we define work. Are we talking about a mundane definition of earning money and sustaining money
No, no,
practically,
we're talking. Yeah, it's part
or
of your.
about my life's work and my purpose?
Yes, that
So we're
that.
talking my life work, my purpose. Before I think probably before I could even think, I had my mother told me I had a crayons in my hands, before I could walk, and I was scrawling on walls and doing all sorts of awful things that she couldn't stand. Just decorating everything and mark making in some way and expressing in some way, but and that was quite unconscious, and that went through years of my life. I don't know, lots of other people have had these sort of experiences where you didn't have the words to define what you were, what was driving you, or what was what you wanted to express necessarily. So for example, I was dancing to the moon at the age of 13 at night without knowing what it was about, but just the joy of being under a full moon in the middle of a forest or something like that. That was always and has always been my motivating force of why I do something. And it's just to have the awe and curiosity of a child and keep that forever is almost like one of the purposes of my life. And for people to be able to recapture their joy, and because that is the
Mm.
magic. The magic is the joy and the curiosity and the awe of all these wonderful things that are around you, including humans, but it's the whole thing, the whole ecosystem, and how magic is the moon, how magic is space. All those things just they drove me, and I, so I was born on a little island called Christmas Island in the Indian Ocean, which was just south of Java. I lived there for 10 years with a jungle just in my back garden, and
A little
then
different environment.
yeah, and yeah, absolutely, it was again, it was so nature was so close to me. I've been so blessed all my life, and I'm sure that has shaped why I am the way I am. But I have had nature literally there at my doorstep in its wild form, so not in a manicured form or in a semi sort of human managed form. Um, and then after that, my parents moved us to Australia, and I lived there for 10 years with a jarrah forest because we lived right next to a mature jarrah forest, which is one of it's a eucalyptus tree. It's amazing. They grow huge. It's just, and the biodiversity in that nature was fantastic. All of this was awe inspiring, and I loved it. But there was something lacking, and it wasn't until I came to England. So I've been touring and traveling and doing all sorts of things, searching for something, as you always do. And I went and lived in Aborigine communities, and I learnt their ways and how they approached the earth. Again, would have had defining moments of because of their way of approaching the land, and their way of saying that. And that's where I learned we were custodians. And that's where I learned that any creativity that I produce, any inspiration that comes from me, also comes through me from the land. And they're to let go ego, because a lot of ego comes into creativity and art. And it wasn't until I said, no, I'm not there to be the artist that produced this artwork. I am there to art as the process of expressing the beauty around us, and hopefully that will then flow through to other people, and they go, oh, wow, and that's what you want. The pagan purpose came when I came to England, and I came to the West Country, and then that's when I found out that all my ancestors came from the West Country. My mother told me that my great-great-grandmother was married 2 towns down from where I'm living now. Wow. So I know, and my family can reach back for centuries and centuries through Newquay, Cornwall, and Devon, and Wales. So I'm very, very West Country from through and through. And as soon as I hit Dartmoor, that's when I just went, whew, and it all made sense for some reason. And the roots went straight down through my feet into the ground. I said, this is where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, and that kicked off a whole body of work where I did it right. I'm now going to be proactive, and I'm going to be. It's not an unconscious thing now. I want to consciously know how to express ways of in enriching people's lives, in allowing them to connect with nature directly the way I am, and then hopefully they'll have value in nature the way we do, and then everyone will take care of it.
Yes. A lot of that.
Yeah. The pagan stuff with the gods and with the spirits, that has come through practice. That's come through meditation. That's come through purposeful, dedicated practice daily. But before that, it was an amorphous thing. And then I started to have names for feelings, names for experiences. The Morrigan, for example, as you know, yeah, when you meet her, you really meet her, and you understand.
That's a word for it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What I would use. Okay.
I know. I always say when you feel the claw on your shoulder, you have a job to do. Because of course with Morrigan, it's always a task, isn't it? It's something that, yes, you have to work for her.
There's a list.
And exactly.
You may not know what the list is, but it's there.
No, exactly. And that's when I started to go, wow, there is more. Nature is the conduit for spirit. Yeah. And the gods are the names we've given to different spirits. And some of them are more active than others, but I really get the sense of when the pagans of old, and the North pagans and stuff, they described walking with the gods. The gods walked with you. They were alive. They're real. They're here. But it's very hard to explain that to people who maybe are a little bit cynical, or they don't embrace that concept of spirit is real. It's walking with us daily, all the time. It is around us. We, whether we're open to perceive it or not.
I think it's the being open to it, right? Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. Is just and it takes work. Back to that capital W, and it's not you don't just sprinkle some glitter over it and there you are. It's you gotta work.
You really, exactly. You got to work, and that's what I've said. That's when it really, I would consider it to be a holistic thing where all the threads came together. Was when I put in the work, so that you have your rituals in the morning, you have your ways of getting up, you have your ways of centering yourself and grounding yourself and things like that, and all those things. That's work. Being aware, being mindful. And like that's why I use my cards a lot. It's because it grounds me and it tells me, okay, this is a focus. I can go back to this focus through the day and find out what it is, because self-reflection is the first process or the first step to being able to connect, I think. I think you need to know self, and then you can connect with nature, and then you
That's
can bring
hard.
that to
Well,
people. Yeah, it
yeah, it's
is.
hard because people don't want to, you know. I mean, that's because that's ugly, you know, and that's work, and you know, it's messy, right?
Mm.
And since you brought it up, I'm gonna ask you, what was it like working on the art for the Morrigan Oracle? I mean, I've got it's close at hand, you know. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. Me too.
of course, you know, I'm huge fans of Stephanie anyway, and Karen.
Yes.
They're good
Yeah.
friends of mine. So
And
I
they're
am prejudiced.
brilliant. Yeah.
I'll own it, you know, because I love those ladies to death. But and I have some full disclosure. I have that art here. You know, I
Yeah.
have Govnu behind me, and I have her call over here, and my beloved has Maka at her
Altar.
place at her altar. So what was it? Because I mean that's intense. You
It
know, I
was
mean, I don't
really,
care who you are, you know, that's going to rattle your bones, you know, with that. That's
yeah, yeah, it was really, really intense. And I would not have done it without the support of Stephanie and Karen. And because of course they approached me to do it, which I was really, really like, wow, that's amazing that you're prepared to work with me. Thank you, especially as we were so far away. But and I had worked with Stephanie before and done a couple of pieces for her, so it wasn't out of the blue. But without them holding space while I was generating the images, and without them giving me ground foundations as well, I could have been swimming a bit, and I could have been sort of gulping for breath, I think. So that was so good to have that triad of, and I swear that's what we needed. Well, of course, as a pagan, I believe everything happens for a reason. And that was one of those things, is that the Morrigan knew what we were going to do was going to be big, and that it needed to be as authentic as possible. And the triad of us holding, and them holding space, and them doing the writing and I do the illustration, just was, I think, the perfect.
oh,
Um,
it was phenomenal. It was to me that deck is so liminal.
mm,
You know, I mean, there's you know, you look at it and it's not just a picture. There's layers upon layers upon layers, and it's you know, and then a lot of it you add in the ohm as well.
mm.
You know, can you speak a little bit about how that worked? Or
Cool. Well, again, that was very, very much because obviously I would bow to the Karen and Stephanie on their absolute amazing knowledge on Owen. A lot of what I was doing was just really how can I say it, intuitive. It was purely intuitive, and I would just double check with them. And then often they would tell me, "Oh, could you include this Owen in this
oh,
picture?"
nice, yes.
You know, and I'd say, "Oh yeah," and they'd give me lots. There was lots of interactive guidance. It was a true co-creation. It wasn't just me just like making up pictures and then going, "You make up the words." They came to me and said, "Oh, these are the kind of energies we think this card is going," and it was loads of back and forth, and it was fantastic.
Mm.
I
Just kind of
think.
gives me chills.
Yeah, but it was really important, and it was really important the way we approached it. So Stephanie and Karen both agreed with me because we started on Samhain, and it was important that we started on Samhain. And I went on to the moor the day we were sort of all connecting meditation wise, and I went up and I have a hawthorn tree, a very special hawthorn tree I visit, and she's a tree I go to when I want to be able to access the veil or what is across the veil. To access spirit. And I put a little offering on the tree. We call them cluties here in England. And they're not just, some people just put ribbons up, but they tend to, they tend to weigh down the trees a lot around the wells and holy wells and stuff like that. So it can be detrimental to the trees. Often people who take care of the wells and take care of the holy sites will remove the cluties regularly because they become too much. So I'm really careful about what I did. And I just put some old raven feathers I'd been gifted years ago that I had saved, obviously for this reason, and put it on twine and then put it on the branch so that it could blow off and go somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was be, and there would be no imprint, because for me, you go into nature and you come out without you actually disturbing nature. Yeah. So there's a saying, but I can't remember what the saying is. But yeah, leave no footprint, or leave no sort of
leave no trace.
Leave no trace. That's it. While you're doing your offerings, a lovely poet friend of mine, she sings as her offerings. She uses her voice and to the wells, and she sings to the spirits and stuff like that as her offerings. And I think that's a gorgeous idea as well. Mm-hmm. But I had to do that, and Karen and Stephanie did their thing on the other side of the world. And if we hadn't done that, again, that is the work. I know it sounds like we're just putting pretty things on trees, but we're not.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I'd have to tell you, the day I went up there, it did not feel pretty, which is often with the moor. But I still had to sit there, and I still had to give it time, even though, I was being thrashed with a bit of rain and hardcore wind. That was all part of the Morrigan as well. So I figured,
it would not always stormy, sunshine and rainbows.
Exactly. The day of it. Yeah, right. Okay, thanks. It was beautifully sunny the day before and beautifully sunny the day after. So it says it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after that, it was a winter. I did it over Samhain to about Beltane. I think that we finally finished, sort of thing. And then and then
wow, that's a lot of work
again. Yeah. But it had to be done.
Raviolis and a nap. I mean, God.
So it was, and then they had to write it, and then they went to the publisher, and then the publisher said, "Oh, could you just tweak this picture? Oh, could you just change that one?" And for someone who works traditionally, it's like, what do you mean just tweak? I have to redraw the whole thing. But it was worth it. Each criticism in the end was worth it, and I always consulted the Morrigan beforehand to say, is this the direction we're going, or am I pandering to the publishers, or is this actually how it should be? And and I usually got the no, put in the extra work, it's not good enough. As she always does, like, no, do it proper. No, start again.
So if you could have a dream project, what would that be?
If I had a what?
Dream project.
What, like a environmental project or something, or like
just
that?
Art-wise, whatever. If you just had a dream project, something that just...
Oh, a dream project. I thought you said green. Sorry.
Sorry, dream.
Gone. No, dream. A dream project.
It's my Appalachian falls out every now and then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, my ears don't work that well anyway, I have to say. But a dream project, every project is a dream project. The fact that I am actually able to do what I'm doing is a dream in itself.
Yeah. So
to be able to do this, and for people for it to resonate with other people, all of that is the dream. To do, I've reached my dream, and if I was to die tomorrow, I would feel happy that I have done what I was meant to do on this earth, and every minute after this is an extra minute. I've got more time to do more. but yeah, I just do what I get called to do at the time. Things will just happen. Like I wasn't looking for a project, I wasn't, or anything like that, but Stephanie and Karen called, and I just went, oh wow, okay. And often it's spirit driven. So I've done it. I recently did an Arachne piece, and that was a request from an American lady ages ago. And I said, yeah, when we can, when I really want to do it. And then on one new moon, it was like, that was the time. And I saw I can't tell you how many spiders came out to say something. And just as I was meditating that evening, I went, okay, it's time. Often new moon, that's when things happen, because that's when the ideas seed, or the spirit calls, and then by full moon, that's usually when it's manifesting. And then often my whole life is a flow of new moon after full moon. And that's how it goes. But it makes sense to me when that happens, because new moons are about new beginnings, and full moons about releasing what you have been working with, sort of thing.
I think that's usually when I do my work too. Is my intent stuff is at new moon because it's that possibility.
Yes.
To me, the new moon is about possibilities.
Yeah. And again, like you
Um,
said, you open yourself up to it, and what flows through is what you react to.
yeah. Now you've kind of talked about it a little bit, but what is your routine, your creative environment, lack of a better word? How do you get in your space?
So
Is
if
there
I
a
was to
certain
start,
thing?
well, that it each project, each piece requires its own. It demands its own stuff, its own thing. The most thing I have to do before I can manifest any, or even ground myself in a subject matter, or I have to meet the deity. I have to meet the spirit. I have to sit quietly. Um, and a lot of people just look at me and think, "Oh, what are you doing?" Well, actually, not a lot of people, because a lot of people don't see me when I'm doing it. But it would be like someone just contemplating their navel for about half an hour or something like that. Literally nothing is all happening here and around me, but to someone looking on, I would be resting. But which is really not what's happening at all. But and it's in situ. So I have to go to a place. I often go to on the moor. I'll go to some special trees that I know, for example. Especially if I'm struggling with something, or I want something to manifest as authentically and as truthfully as, or to be as true as to the vision as I can possibly be, I will go and sit with certain trees and in certain places on the moor. And I think that's why the moor called to me so much, because that's where um, I found these places to connect to spirit. And that is, so walking is essential in nature, um, as much as possible every day, if possible, is my routine. That is my grounding routine that I need to do. And then if I want to actually manifest a piece, then I would go to a special place, or I will meditate inside my studio, or by my altar. So of course I always add to my altar every day. So when I come back from a walk, I've picked up a bit of moss, or a snail shell peeled to me, or something called to me, or a stick called to me, and that just gathers on my altar as I am manifesting a picture. And then all those things I can gather into a little bundle at the end when I've done my picture. And then I can sometimes I put them in jars, sometimes I put them aside, sometimes I bury them, sometimes I burn them, sometimes I release them into water, depending on what I've collected and what is needed. Nimue is a water spirit, so when I finished with my Nimue piece, then I gave an offering to the waters and sacred wells. So that sort of thing. So if I'm working with land, then I tend to use rocks. I'll scry as well a lot of the times when I'm meditating. So if I'm meditating by a willow tree on the bank of a little stream, if there's a little patch of sand, that's when my scrying comes out, and I will either automatically scry, or I will invoke an ogham, or I'll invoke a rune. I work with runes a lot. To either, I would do algis to produce to create my sacred space. I would use Lagu if I want to connect with a water spirit. You see that all those sort of things. Sail if I'm behind a willow tree, for example. So yeah, that's
Everything kind of stacks on itself.
yeah, absolutely. And because, as you know, we live in a connected and interconnected universe, and so every action has a ripple. Every action will instigate another reaction with something else, and that's how magic flows. But yes, it walking in nature. I can't, and working in nature if you can, anything. But if you can just take off your shoes, sit down in the dirt or the grass, or dabble your feet in a stream or something like that. That's just, and give yourself a moment and don't think. And that's the hard bit. mind you.
Yeah, don't
The
think.
hard bit is not to think, turning off the monkey brain. And sometimes actually music helps. So I'll put my earphones on, especially if I'm in a place where I'm on the heath, where which is surrounded by urban life. It's only 10-15 minutes away from my house, and it's beautiful heathland, and it's nestled in between all this horrible sort of urbanness. But once I'm in there, it's beautiful, but you can still hear trucks or cars every now and then. So I'll put on earphones to stop that, but and listen, and sometimes music, or I'll just muffle. But I don't. I'd rather listen to music than muffle, because I like noises. I like to hear a bird, or I like to, you know what I mean? To live in that vacuum is almost as weird as hearing a car.
Not natural.
Something like that. Yeah, it doesn't feel natural. It's like I've lost a sense. And I know sensory deprivation is a way of getting into meditative state, but it doesn't feel to me at all. So yeah, so I've got to have all my senses acting in some way. But yeah,
and I think that's, one thing that's really kind of cool about having a nature religion, lack of a better word, being an animist, whatever, is you got to be in nature. I mean, that's kind of it's kind of part of it.
It is. And if you can't, and I totally understand people when they're going, well, I live in a city, what do you want me to do? And it's like, I totally get that. But for example, even if you have a balcony and you filled it with plants, or even if you have a pet animal, like a cat or a dog, you are connecting with something that is not human made, necessarily. I know we train our dogs and our cats and stuff, but they're interacting.
My cats are not trained.
No,
trained. I want your secret. Witch, you're a witch.
Don't go there. The cat trauma I'm going through at the moment is ridiculous. I've got a black cat now who wants to come and join the crew, and it's like, no, I'm really sorry, cat. Anyway, long story, we won't go there. It's the fourth cat. But anyway, to interact with your dog, you're interacting with it as a dog. Even though you talk to it as a human, it's not reacting like a human, it's reacting like a dog. It's essence, it's nature. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how much you train it, its nature will always be there. And it's the nature of spirit, the spirit of the dog. That's what you're interacting with. And that in itself is something amazing, and a lot of people get a lot out of that going for it. And then they do tricky things to you, do animals. They take you outside. So a lot of people take their dog for a walk, and they don't realize they're actually in nature, and they are semi-meditating, because walking is a form of meditation. Running is a form of meditation. It often, that's why people will exercise and run and cycle and walk and stuff like that. It's they're craving that inner peace you get when your brain does turn off.
I'm a big fan of walking meditation, because it enables, gives my body something to do, so my mind relaxes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it allows your mind to concentrate on that step by step by step, and then it's not going through the laundry list or the shopping list and the laundry chores and stuff like that. But yeah, that's it. And because spirit's in everything, so that pebble that you collect from the beach and you put on your altar, that's direct connection to nature. I wouldn't recommend you take all the pebbles off the beaches, but one, even if you hold the pebble in your hand while you're on the beach, or something like that, all of that, because there's spirit in absolutely everything. Even wood that has been chopped down, it's still got the memory of spirit, as we have the memory of our ancestors always in our blood, always there. So yeah, that's it. Nature, if you can get directly into nature, but if you live in an urban, don't worry, it doesn't mean that it is harder to connect. I can tell you that. I went to Japan recently for my daughter's. It was a celebration because she passed exams, because she's dyslexic. So for her, exams are very hard. So it was something we'd saved up for ages and ages and ages. And in the end, we ended up just going to Tokyo, because that was where she wanted to go. And I was just like, oh, really? Can we not go to see the monkeys in the mountains? Can I not walk through the bamboo please? But even in Tokyo, there's this amazing Central Park. And inside this Central Park is a Shinto shrine. And there's camphor trees, amazing camphor trees growing everywhere in this park. And you just have to enter it and you feel that your whole body decompresses and your mind decompresses and you know, all of it dissembles, all the tensions. And that's it. So city parks, if you've got one near you, go to it. If you can't access nature any other way, it's so worth it. But yeah, as you know, it's just sometimes hard to convince
What?
everyone.
Excuse me. What's one thing about your work that you did not expect?
Oh, I don't know. I don't expect anything.
Mm.
I leave expectations aside. They set you up to fail, I feel. Often, and they give you a scaffolding already that may interfere with the direct message.
Well, I
So
mean, more along the lines of not necessarily setting expectations, but that you didn't realize
would come out.
your impact. Yeah, you didn't realize the magnitude of it. You know, I mean, is there anything when you just got started scribbling, you know,
Well, yeah. Oh, I see what you're
that,
saying. Yeah, no,
yeah,
I actually did start with no expectations. I literally started the first things I started to do as because I went to art school and did formal art training and all that, and then I traveled around the world, and then I joined the circus, and I did that till I was in my 30s,
there's
and
some
then
stories.
there's some stories. So then, and then after that, I left the circus, and then we came down to Devon, and that's when I had my daughter. And to be quite frank, there was a big gap. It was like 7 years of dedication to really her, where I didn't do anything except I had a job, which I was a forest school teacher, which I did because I wanted to be able to provide a forest school for her. So I worked for her local sort of kindergarten and stuff like that, and helped set up a forest school situation for them. Again, it was just me. How can I get my beliefs and try and get them into the mainstream without being pagan, witch, you know, all that sort of thing, without that stigma attached? And I found forest school was ideal because you got that aura magic. The children had it. You know, they went, oh my God, I found a slug. It's so amazing. That kind of, you know, and you look at fungi and you look at it. And then they'd also learn what fungi not to touch and what was dangerous and what was safe and how you could use nettles. But if you touch them, they could sting
Sting
you.
you.
But if you put them in tea, it's really nice, you know, that kind of thing. So foraging stuff, all that sort of stuff. And that was the way I could bring my nature-based spiritualism into the real world or the mainstream world for my daughter. So I didn't do any art in that period. Not what you call traditional art that I do now. It's just sketching and stuff like that. But the first time one day I just went, oh, I read, because a friend of mine brought a whole lot of Tibetan prayer flags. And, I love this concept of, you know, putting intention into the flags and letting them fly away and stuff like that. And there was nothing that represented my culture and the natural seasons that I celebrated. So as you know, the Wheel of the Year is just is a seasonal celebration. It was a way for people in a practical sense to be able to mark when to put in the seeds, when to you know work out when the animals were going to give birth, when to take in the harvest, all that
Very
sort of stuff.
agricultural. Yeah.
Well, absolutely, because it was direct at that point, wasn't it? There was no shop, so it was just like, no, it depended. You bless those seeds because if they don't grow, you die. So it was quite essential and quite necessary and important, and much more important than it does now. Because you know now, if my lettuces die, I will go to the shop and I will buy lettuce. But yeah, then it was so crucial, which is why everyone was, I think, more dedicated to those rituals than they are now, because again there's that separation, isn't there? Anyway, going back to the flags, so I went, right, I'm going to make a set of pagan prayer flags for myself so I can incorporate it in my practice. So I did the pagan prayer flags. I went through the Wheel of the Year from Yule to Samhain, and then I went every celebration I will put my intentions for that period of time into the flag. And so on Beltane, I will look at the flag of Beltane, and I will put in my intentions for Beltane and that period of time before we come on to solstice. So then at the end of it, I will take the flags out and I literally let them fly free outside. So they're on my altar all year round until I finish the cycle and the full wheel of the year is turned. And then I take them out and I let all those intentions fly free. And if I was really consistent, which I have to say I am not always consistent, I would chronicle and journal each one, so I could learn at the end of the year what that year taught me. What was the essence of that year, the energy of that year? What was it given to me, and how can I then take that forward to the next year? So again, a sense of self-reflection, and a sense of also giving to back to the universe, because every time you fly your intentions free, which is why it's very important what you do intend to do, has to be very mindful, then that energy mingles with the energy around the world and adds to it. So yeah, you got to be careful what you put out there, I think, and that's where you become very mindful and authentic in your practice. Did that answer the question? I tend to ramble.
Yes.
Okay,
No, we're just it is what it is.
But all the tree flags are like that as well, because they follow the lunar months. So I do the 13 Ogham instead of the 21, because I follow the 13 lunar months, and okay. I've got a tree for each month, and then I put intentions again for the same reason and to chronicle it, which I'm not so good at these days.
I'm gonna have to look at that, because I know I've got your seasonal ones. You got your seasonal cards.
Yeah.
Here in our home.
But yeah, I've got the Ogham ones. Yeah. Oh dear. Hello.
Hold on a minute. I'm still here. Give me a second.
I've lost you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Give me a minute.
That's all right. I'm still here. I just can't see you. You disappeared. We've got your Is it me or you?
No, it's me.
Oh, okay. That's all right then. Sorry, maybe not. But
there we go. Hey, how about that?
Wrong. Hey, you're back.
Poof! It's magic.
It is magic. It's a very, very, very different kind of magic.
Maybe that's a good time to do something else. So I always like to ask everybody this. With what I talk to folks is, what's the one thing you think each of us can do, to make our communities better?
Because there's so many things you can do, but in essence, you have to be authentic and be true to yourself and know yourself before you can help anyone else. It's the same thing on an airplane, and they say put the mask on yourself and then you can help someone else. It's the same. Everyone, to make our communities better, we have to go through process of self-healing and self reflection and self-knowledge. And once you know yourself, then you can control your reactions to what happens to you around you a little bit more, or react to things. So, for example, instead of reacting in anger at something, maybe you step back and give yourself time. And this takes self-knowledge. With self-knowledge, you can stop your instant reaction, and you can sort of step back, just give yourself time and go, okay, how do I want to react? Do I want to fling this anger? Sometimes it's good to fling the anger out there. You have to, rage is not a bad thing. As Viviane tells us, it's just not. It's not a bad thing, but it is how it's used and how and who you're reacting to and what you're reacting to. But the best way we can make our communities better is to make ourselves better. And it starts with yourself. So you do the practice, you do the work. And it does require time to yourself. So I know people can work their asses off. I do it myself. I'm sure you do as well. We've all been there and just like, I've got to do this. We've got to do this. We've got to do this. And I'll do that in a minute, but I've got to do this. I've got to do this first. Instead of just going, you don't have to do anything. This is a self-imposed thing that you think you have to do. Even going to a job, and stuff like that, is you've chosen to go to the job, or you are doing the job, but you can choose the way you approach it or something like, you know what I mean? It's just, It's just, I think it all starts at home. You start with yourself, and then you can go and help your community. But learning skills is a really good thing. Real skills. That's another thing, which is I think what we will all want to do in the end, is have skills and not just knowledge. So, for example, this modern world is all about knowledge. It's all about what you know, and it's about what you can get information wise. So it's an information society we live in. And this information society is great to have knowledge. I don't diss it at all. Books, everything. But to me, a book is a window into another world, is a window into something new, something different. Curiosity is piqued, etc., etc. But it's when you're driven by just knowledge, and you don't go, right now I'm stepping away from that book or the screen or whatever, and I'm going to sit with that knowledge and see how I can use it. So it is not just to know something, it is what is the purpose of what you are knowing. And that's when you do something, like make something, like go for a walk, like, yeah. I can't say creating and making. That's, you know, and you can make words if you want as well, but you're doing it. You're not consuming it. You are making it. You are creating it. So it's a different way of using stuff. So I don't use technology the same as most people do, in the sense that I don't spend the most of my time on Instagram and stuff consuming. I spend it contributing to put content on. And I find I don't have the time to scroll, even though I do. I love to see all what my friends are doing and all the creative, wonderful things that are happening out there. Absolutely. But I think you have to have a balance, and you can consume. But if you're just consuming and you're not doing any contributing, so you're not making what you've consumed and then bringing it out in another way, then you're just a container and you're just containing. And then your signal's gone off again. Yeah. I don't think this. Do you want me to? I can just continue to wax lyrical.
Why don't we? I'm having trouble with obviously my camera. Everybody knows what I look like anyway. We'll stop there. I think. I'm going to have all your information down in the show notes. You do ship to the States, so please support artists. You know,
real artists. Please support real artists.
Follow, buy, support. And those of you who want to hang out a minute, not hang out a minute, but we're going to have a really fantastic talk about metal magic that I want to have in my makerspace, and we'll talk about that. And if you want that, just go over there and listen to it. Naomi, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. And we'll talk again in just a second. Bye, y'all.
Bye.